Well, this is it, guys. We're finally here. The highly anticipated Tarkov Arena has officially dropped. Kind of. I say kind of because, you know, it was a little bit of a shambles. Just a little bit. Originally, they said the way it would work is the earlier you purchased EOD, the earlier you got access to Arena. What actually happened was more akin to putting everyone's name on a dartboard, blindfolding each other in the BSG offices and taking turns throwing darts until everyone was selected. But hey, I got it and I only purchased EOD 2 months ago, so I'm not complaining. And to be fair, they probably needed one of the best British pro esports Tarkov players up there in the front, especially if they're going to make this an esport. Let's be honest. So let's cover the basics first. What is Arena? What is it? What is it? What do you do on it? What's it all about? It is essentially a couple of COD game modes with the Tarkov mechanics. You know, you've got your team deathmatch. They call it team deathmatch. It's actually not team deathmatch. It's more like search and destroy without the thing that makes search and destroy interesting. You know, planting the bomb. I know they're like, oh, we don't want to be like CS:GO. We want to be different. Yeah, that's fair and everything. But like, how about if it's going to be different, actually make it interesting or good? Because currently, the team deathmatch you've got in place is 5v5 elimination. And there's nothing else to it. Sure, if the timer ends, you get that stupid capture the flag thing that they ripped off straight from the gulag of Call of Duty, but we don't need that because that mechanic is fucking stupid. You know, it was annoying in Warzone where the timer runs out and the other dude's camping the flag so he just instantly wins. But it's more annoying in Arena because the maps are significantly bigger, and before you can even get your S-March on, the other guy who just spawned where the flag is has already beaten you and the game is over, coming to one of the most anticlimactic finishes you could ever come to. And trust me, I've came to some anticlimactic finishes. The other game mode, because for some reason there's only two, which is funny because they've been developing this game for what, like 2 years, and they can only manage to get 2 game modes in. Maybe it's like a game mode a year. It's kind of like an avant-garde art piece about game development, about how long it takes. I don't know what they were thinking, but there it is. There's 2 game modes. They're both pretty shit. The other game mode is like a tournament style 2v2 or 3v3. So you've got like 5 teams, and you'll go against each other whilst the other teams sit in the rafters and watch, because it's honestly like they saw the gulag from Warzone and they were just so inspired they had to get as many elements of that as possible, and they just loved the idea that people are watching these battles from the rafters. Like, that's going to be so enjoyable, not realizing that like it's the most boring thing in the world. It's not like they didn't need to put more weighting into Tarkov. That's not something that Tarkov needed, was more weighting. But trust me, you're going to be playing these 3v3s, you're going to be playing these 2v2s, you're going to be sitting up there just thinking like, what am I doing? I could be doing so many better things right now, like RuneScape. The 2v2s and the 3v3s, if you were thinking they were going to be any different, no, they still use the silly flag mechanic where if the timer runs out, you have to go and capture the flag in some location. Same shit, different game mode. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. Apart from these 2 game modes, you've got like 5 maps, I think. Some of them just being like excerpts from other maps, like you've got Sawmill, which is just obviously from Woods. A lot of them are they're just kind of whatever. Other than that, you've got the presets, which they operate like little tech trees. So, you know, you can pick one and you can go all the way to the bottom and unlock the best armor and the best gear. And you have your cash that you can spend on it. You start with 1.2 mil, and it's very difficult to accumulate money. I don't know if I'm just bad. Could be. But I was also winning a fair amount of games and not accumulating any. Most of the time I was losing money, so I don't really know how that works. I'm not sure what happens if you run out of cash. Do you just not have a preset? Another little fun little trinket to put in there is that when you purchase whatever fucking preset you want to use, that's you for the whole game. There's no changing. No, we didn't have enough time to implement that. If you pick your gun, you better believe you're sticking with it until that game ends. There's no other way. Pick wisely, because if you don't, you're going to have a bad time, especially if you pick like the Vepr or whatever, like I did, and then just realize that you fucking suck with it. Team killing's obviously also a nightmare because they just use those tiny armbands, yeah, that's right, the ones you know about, those tiny little red and blue ones, to identify who's on your team and who's not. That's going to lead to so many team killings that it's not even worth thinking about. I mean, I've already murdered I've murdered more of my teammates than I've murdered the enemy. You know, I've been murdering teammates like it's going out of fucking fashion over here. The one big similarity that they took straight from Tarkov was how much waiting you're going to be doing. You know, you load into a game, you've got the first like 30 seconds, and then it's accept the match, wait for everyone to accept, and then you've got 2 to 3 minutes of loading in, and then you've got like a minute and a half to pick your preset, which is fucking crazy. It's not like you can edit the presets or anything, they're factory sealed. You have to pick them, so you definitely won't be spending that much time doing it. I don't know why they didn't make it so you can just pick the preset whilst you're loading in. Not really understanding the logic there, but hey, I don't understand a lot of things that Battlestate do, so we'll add that one to the ever-piling list of things that confuse me. Well, I mean, so is it fun, though? It's probably the main thing people are wanting to find out. Is the game enjoyable? Is it good? No. It's not. Really. I don't think so. You know what I've been thinking about lately is, you know, I used to be someone that loves the Tarkov mechanics, the way the guns feel, the way they shoot. You know, I'd cream all over that to anyone that would listen. But the thing about when you're playing Arena is that's all you can focus on because there's nothing else to the game. There isn't anything else interesting going on. There's no other elements that are new or exciting. If anything, it's just like other games that have those game modes but done slightly worse. So you're forced to focus on the mechanics itself, and then you start to question, are these that good? And listen, I'm not going to throw them out the window. You know, I still like playing Tarkov. I still like the way the guns feel. But the satisfaction from killing people, it just completely gets eliminated when you're not fighting for your gear and your life or your other person's gear. There's just a lot of enjoyment that gets lost from the game when you're forced to just contend with the fact that killing people doesn't really matter anymore. And to be honest, most of the time it just seems like a fucking fluke anyway. Like most of the kills in Tarkov, if we're all just going to be reasonable here. You know, take away all of the elements that make Tarkov great and just focus on the mechanics itself, you don't really have that much of an enjoyable game. You know, the maps aren't that well designed, the presets aren't that well designed. The balancing is crazy because you guys know, you've played the silly game. If someone has like a way better kit than you, that advantage is like no other game. That's not the difference between having like a Glock in CSGO because you're on an eco round versus a fully kitted M4. That's the difference between having a wooden stick that you can hit things with and a tank rolling over you. Not that that's ever happened anywhere. I would never claim that. Another little fun thing, I just remembered about it. Another little fun little thing there is that, you know how in most games like the ranked is locked and you've only got unranked for the time being because they need to figure out how to balance it. They need to figure out the little ins and outs, what they're going to change, what works, what doesn't, how do people interact with the game. BSG thought, you know what's going to be so smart? Fuck that. Let's just have ranked. So ranked is the only thing that's accessible at the moment. Unranked is blocked out. You can't use unranked. For whatever fucking reason. I don't understand the thought process there. I guess maybe all of the Battlestate developers have just played too much Tarkov and now their brain is just slimy mush and they're incapable of making reasonable decisions. I can't speak on that. I'm not too sure what's going through their head, but I will tell you, whatever's going through their head, I do not want it going through my head because they have lost the ability to think. I think my main takeaway is just like, what's the point? It all seems so pointless. I didn't care when I got a kill. I didn't care when I got killed. You can't even take you can take someone's gear for the round, but as soon as that round's over, like, you're back to whatever preset you fucking came in with. So, like, good luck. They don't even give you the satisfaction of knowing that if you kill someone, you can at least have their gear for the next round, because it's another mechanic that they thought, we don't need that. We're a different game. We do things a little bit differently. We take out things and make you very limited in how you can play. Sure, I guess you can say there's some utility in that it lets you get used to Tarkov mechanics in a mode that's not so punishing. I'll give you that, sure. But here's the thing, yeah, sure, but why is it an entire new game? I think that's what really stings, okay? And I think this is probably going to be a grievance around a lot of people. If this was just a game mode they implemented into Tarkov and they said, oh, look, you can go do team deathmatch in Tarkov now, isn't that great? Everyone probably would have been like, oh, okay, cool. But they announced this like 2 years ago. It was this huge thing. Arena, it's going to be this crazy new game that it's an actual game and it costs the same amount as like a normal game. And I think that's where they sort of went wrong here, because it's not a full game. It's barely a DLC. If this was a mod, you'd probably still be like, all right, guys, can you try a little bit harder here? This is a very obscure reference, so bear with me, but it feels like you ever play Donkey Kong 64, okay? There's a level in Donkey Kong 64 where you can find an arcade machine. And if you interact with the arcade machine, it lets you play like the first Mario game. You know, the one where you're jumping over barrels and shit and Donkey Kong's trying to fuck you up. That's what I feel like this should be. You should be playing Interchange and you find a little arcade machine, you interact with that and it lets you play Arena. That's how much of like not a game this game is. I've sort of heard down from the grapevine too that they're trying to make this like an esports. I don't know what they're thinking there. That is absolute insanity. Obviously Tarkov could never be an esport. It's way too fucking random. You might as well have the esport like you just roll a die and whoever gets the highest number goes on to the next stage, because like we all know it, the desync is terrible. It's basically just a random chance whether your bullets are actually going to go where you're aiming. It doesn't work for that kind of thing. Listen, you know, the reason like something like CSGO works so well as an esport is because it's so minimalist. It removes all of the elements of RNG, and I'm not trying to say there's no RNG, but compared to Tarkov, it's like the difference between slots and fucking archery. Should you play it if you already have EOD? I mean, if you ever get access to it, maybe give it a couple of tries. You might say, holy shit, this guy's a fucking retard and this game is amazing. I would question your sanity if you thought that, but each to their own. If you don't own EOD and you're just thinking about either upgrading or buying Arena right out, no, don't do it. It's not worth your time. Just play Tarkov. Just play Tarkov. It's more satisfying to kill scavs in Tarkov than it is to kill players in Arena. So why cut out the middleman, you know? Why add a middleman, in fact? Why add a new middleman, Arena, to just playing Tarkov when you could just go play Tarkov? You don't need to play Arena. Trying out a whole new thing here. I've got the whole thing. You know the score. Everyone fucking does it, so I thought, why not jump on the bandwagon as well? Good luck. This is a salute, not a Hitler salute. I know it looks similar. Not a Hitler salute. It's just a normal salute. Just trying to salute you guys. Not trying to Hitler salute. It's just a regular old salute, okay? Don't get anything twisted.